We are in a late model JK with a 6.2 L94 LS engine and a 6L80 transmission. It runs excellent as usual. We just got it out of the shop, so it has that new swap smell to it. These are some strange times that we're going through. And this wouldn't be the first roller coaster I've had here in Vegas. In fact, it really started with me back in LA. The fires, the floods, the earthquakes, the riot. Came here to Vegas, lived through the 2008 economy crash, and now the whole virus thing. The governor in Nevada ordered non-essential businesses to shut down. And the solution in most cases for me is to go into nature. And that's exactly what we've been doing. I took my family out several times up to the mountains. In fact, you probably can't see the mountain up there because it's covered in clouds, but they had a blast. And rather than go to a smelly casino or a hotel or a restaurant packed in like sardines, getting into nature is really an important thing. And I think us Jeepers understand it. For a lot of years, I've told my friends that come here to Vegas to visit, get off the Strip, go out to Mount Charleston, go to Red Rock, go to Lake Mead, go to a lot of the trails we have around here. And in every case, they end up coming back to Las Vegas, not to go to the Strip, but to go to those off-road places. So I know that a lot of Jeeping events like Easter Jeep Safari have been canceled, and that's really unfortunate, but maybe in the long run that is the best thing to do. What's interesting is I've probably been getting more calls since this crisis started than before, and I'm getting the same questions over and over. So I thought what we do in this video is talk about swap questions. When you call me, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, where do you live? Are you subject to an emissions test? What size tires are you running? How heavy is your JK? And here's the reasoning behind that. If you live at Colorado, 10,000 feet, you're running 40s, and you pull a trailer, that's going to be an entirely different recommendation to a guy that's in Miami and Florida at sea level with 33-inch tires. The other concern is legality, emissions. We know that that's a problem now, and it's going to get more so in the future. So ask yourself, do you want a hybrid? Do you want a configuration that is not US EPA legal? Do you need California certification? All this comes into my head when I talk to a customer, because recommending a swap to a customer and telling them, well, this is for off-road use only, because I know it's not a certified configuration, is not what I do. So the first question, where do you live? If you live at high altitude where the air is thin, you're going to need a larger displacement engine. If you live in very cold climates, let's say you live in Newfoundland and I have some swaps there, that's going to be a little bit different than if you live in the Southwest in the desert. Your JK, how heavy is it? Do you have armor all around? Is it aluminum armor? Do you have skid plates? Do you have rock rails? Do you have winches? Bumpers? What size are the tires? And that's really critical, because a 32-inch tire, even a 35-inch tire, is a lightweight compared to a 40-inch tire. A 40-inch tire and a rim can weigh in excess of 200 pounds each. So you could be pushing 800 to 1,000 pounds of wheels and tires, and you have to have an engine that's going to match that. Now, the LTs are excellent with the torque that they have at pulling the bigger tires. But does that mean an LS, a 6.0 or a 6.2 LS, can't pull that same tire? No. So once I ask the first salvo of questions, the second thing I'm going to ask is, what is your expectation? Are you looking for a JK that has just enough power to get the job done? Almost any engine you get, even the V6, can work off-road. But are you looking for something that has enough power to cruise at 70, 80 miles an hour, pass on the highway and not get embarrassed? Then that's going to be a different configuration than if you want a muscle car JK, a JK that you can go out and hot rod, a JK that you can go 80, 90 miles an hour and cruise with ease. And what I find is it's about split even. I would say the average customer is just really tired of fighting their V6. Recently I've had some guys with the JLs tell me how great they were, how the 8 speeds made such a difference. And then they upgrade to the 40s and they get up into altitude, and now they have a different opinion. So what we have is basically three things: expectation, need, and want. Now, amongst all this, we have to consider your budget. If you got 15 grand, you want a V8, you're tired of your V6, it blew up, it can't keep you at speed on the highway, then an LS 5.3 makes a lot of sense. The LS 5.3 is a certified configuration. It has well over 300 horsepower. Running it in most JKs will get the job done. Now, it's not the most glamorous engine, it's not the most powerful engine, but it will get the job done. I've even seen the 5.3s with 40s do great at sea level. When you get up into some of the higher mountain grades, like going to Moab, yeah, it's going to downshift a bit. It's only 1.5 liters bigger than the 3.8. but it's still going to get you there at 75, 80 miles an hour. And it's going to do it at an economical price. In fact, right across the board, the LSs are going to be more economical than the LTs at this point. That might change in the future, but right now the LSs are going to be more budget-minded. So let's say you do have a heavy JK. You are running 40s, and you do go to altitude. Probably your best option is a 6.0 if you're on a budget. Both the 5.3 LS and the 6.0 LS will run on regular gas. The 5.3 LS and the 6.0 LS are very, very similar engines. In fact, the LMG Iron 5.3 and 6.0 are almost identical. Difference being the displacement. But that extra displacement in the 6.0 really gives it more torque, more punch on the bottom. So if you are hauling a heavy JK, you are towing a trailer, you're going to high altitude, you got 40s, the 6.0 will pretty much pull that JK with authority. The downside to the 6-liter is it is a heavy-duty truck motor, so you must check your jurisdiction for emissions rules. The 5.3 and the 6.2 LSs are half-ton motors, and the JK is considered a half-ton SUV, so they would be US EPA compliant. If you can run the 6.0, it's an excellent value, probably the best dollar for value out, and that includes Hemis, turbochargers, and everything else. A 6.0 can run hundreds of thousands of miles trouble-free. They are low cost to get into. The iron block is pretty much indestructible. They run on regular gas, and I can go on and on. These 6.0s, as you know, start off at about 16 to 17,000 with us, and with the usual options, you're going to be in the 17 to 18,000 range for an in-house build. We also sell our LS kits, so you can install your own 6.0, and they're on sale right now at $49.99 for the basic kit and $59.99 for the premium kit. So let's say you want a little bit more power. You want that muscle car hot rod feel in your JK. Go for a 6.2 LS. Now guys, this is based on you having an earlier model JK. We got our executive order in California up through 14 because that's when GM end-of-lifed most of the LS engines. So if you got a 16, 17 JK, I would recommend going with an LT. But if you have a 7 to 14 JK, then the LSs work great. So you go to a 6.2 LS. What do you get? Well, you get over 400 horsepower, closer to 450 horsepower. You get all aluminum construction, higher compression. You also have to use premium gas. Is the 6.2 necessary in a light JK? No. Is it fun? Yes. Now that 6.2 in a heavy JK with armor, winch, bumpers at altitude, especially if you're towing a trailer, is going to be just enough. But pretty much anywhere else, it's going to be more than you need. In fact, a light two-door with a 6.2 is a rocket, and it can get you into trouble. So if we kind of recap the LSs, the 5.3 is enough. It should have been the base engine in a JK. It's kind of like the 5.3 in a Silverado. It gets the job done. 6.0 is designed for hauling more weight, just like the 6.0 in the heavy-duty trucks. And the 6.2 is a performance option, just like in an Escalade. And that's exactly what you get in the JK. Now let's move over to the LTs. And most of you know that we've been doing the LTs for several years now. LT is an awesome engine. And not only is the LT an awesome engine, but the Gen 5 transmissions are equally awesome. The 8-speed and the 10-speed can give you better performance in the same engine. Just like the 8-speed in the JL gives you better performance than the 5-speed Pentastar in the JK. The 5.3 LT performs very similar to the 6.0 LS. Got a lot of torque in the bottom. In a heavy JK, it's not going to give you the performance of a 6.2, but it's probably more than you need. Currently, the 5.3 swap costs more than the 6.0 swap for obvious reasons. The 5.3 engines cost more. It is a newer production engine where the 6.0 has been around for over a decade and there are millions of them out there. The 5.3 runs the higher geared transmissions like the 8-speed and the 10-speed. But if you have a late model JK, 17, 18, and you want to stay compliant, the 5.3 LT makes a good choice. We're not going to talk about the Iron 6.6 right now because I'm not sure it's ready for prime time. So let's go to the all aluminum 6.2 LT. Whether it's an L86, L87, or LT1, they're monsters. These engines are extremely powerful. They will haul a heavy JK with ease. We don't have to talk about the performance and we don't have to talk about the tow capacity because these 6.2 LTs far exceed what your JK can do or tow. The 6.2 LT, in my opinion, is top of the pile. And I'm not just talking about among the LSs and the LTs. I'm talking about Hemis and everything else. An LT1 tuned properly with an 8 or a 10 speed will outrun all of the older 480 and 500 horsepower crate motors of the last generation of engines. In fact, I've had guys drive LT1s and tell me they're somewhere between a 6.4 SRT Hemi and a Hellcat, and they do perform that well. Now, you guys know that we've done LT4s, and that's just a whole different level of performance, but as far as the standard crate motor goes, the LT1 is top of the pile in my opinion. If you can afford it, there is no downside to it. You do have to run the premium gas. You have 11.5 to 1 compression. You got continuous variable valve timing. You've got direct injection. This motor's got it all. Downside to the LT1, our in-house build is 30 grand. Now, I personally feel that's a bargain. A lot of you guys were putting Hemis in for $30,000 not long ago, and you didn't get the direct injection, and you didn't get the tire frying bottom end torque that the LT1 can put out. So while it is more expensive than the LSs and the other LTs, it's a bargain in my book. The L86 is somewhat the forgotten engine, and we've done a lot of them. The L86 is the truck version of the LT1. They run great, they are ugly, they are a little bit more difficult to fit, especially in an earlier JK, because the earlier JK has a smaller engine compartment. But for a long time, they were available and affordable. The LT1 is available new, the L86 is not. So if you want a brand new engine from GM, the LT1 is the way to go. The L86, you can pick them up in wrecking yards, and the prices have been coming down. When I get into an LT1 8-speed, and soon I'll be talking to you about an LT1 10-speed, the world makes sense. Even in a heavy JK, everything makes sense. It pulls the weight of that JK so effortlessly. When you get in the highway and you kick into that second overdrive, the RPMs are low. You can cruise long distances without issue. For you guys that have 17, 18 JKs, 18, 19, 20 JLs and JTs, I think you should take a hard look at the LT, especially the LT1. Makes a lot more sense than a Hemi in my opinion.